One, two, three. One, two,
Okay.
three.
All right, everybody.
One, two, three.
We are back, and I'm sure if all of you observant viewers could already hear our first guest, this is going to be the best podcast yet because of all of the hurdles I've had to take to get to it. So anyways, without any further ado, let me introduce the first guest, Lothar.
Hello.
Hello, Lothar. If I had a little soundboard, I'd have a little clapping thing, and everyone would be going nuts. But so hey, man.
Nice to see you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's nice to see you too. For those who didn't hear, this is the first time that I've had the chance to talk with Jacob here. My name's Nick, by the way, or you can just call me.
Yeah. Well, I see that on Skype.
Yeah, good. Yeah, you can call me whatever you want. So. How you doing? You've had a pretty big last couple of weeks, huh?
Well, you can say that the last couple of weeks were really busy for me, and with Team now going live in January, and all the managerial stuff is on my head. I was kind of swamped with work, and I don't know if anyone from the audience or even players are aware of this, but managing a esports team is a hella lot of work. It's like really a lot. So there was a lot of things regarding tournaments, regarding schedules, regarding practice, and this is something I love. This is really making me happy working in an esports scene. So I'm super excited to join Nihilum and just work on the Hearthstone team.
Yeah. Can you give me an example, I guess, of some of the hardships or some of all that work you've been given just in the course of a couple weeks?
Well, that's backstage things that are not really reaching the first. How do you say that in English? That's something it's not reaching the big audience. It's like the whole backstage work that you do when you're talking with the organizers of the tournaments, and you work on the schedules of those, and you're like a bridge between the organizers and the players from the team, and you do the well, also a lot of time was preparing the contracts for the players, negotiating the terms and stuff like that. So nothing really in particular that I can say like in details, but I can I can shed a light in the overall.
Now, you said that you act as the bridge between the players and the organization, and I think that's a pretty apt, I guess, like metaphor. But you are yourself one of the players.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
Well,
there a
I'm
bridge
kind
for
of
you?
I am a bridge to myself too. It might sound funny, but many of the players, many of the managers for the teams or leaders, whatever you call them, are also players. An example, Nimsh for Cloud9, Amaz for Team Archon. Well, actually, Amaz stepped down, and I think Backspace was announced as manager for Team Archon. But still, Backspace is also a player, and I don't think he was quitting playing at all. And for me, it's the same. I'm still a player. I would be kind of stepping down when it comes to appearances because I want my players for my team to appear more in tournaments. And when a team is formed for tournaments, it works like this. A team got spots for invites, and then the manager, pushes someone to that spots to play in the tournament. So for me, the priority is to get Thais, RDU, and life coach in the tournaments.
Yeah. Now, I guess first of all, because I know I'm going to be saying this name for the rest of our time here, it's Nihilum or Nihilium. How do I pronounce this?
It's from Latin, so it's pronounced how it's written. So it's Nihilum or
Nihilum.
Nihilum. In Polish, it's Nihilum. Latin is kind of it's
Yeah.
its own language. So
Yeah.
when it comes to pronunciation.
Would you believe that I studied Latin for 2 years and I still didn't know how to pronounce it? So, I mean, say what you want about me. All right, so good. Now that I can say I'm Nihilum, being the captain now. I mean, is this like a natural fit for you, or is this something you kind of had to, stretch yourself, learn new skills, or maybe go out of your comfort zone?
No, that fits my skills. Like in the real life, you can say that I was a manager for two hobby stores, which were selling like Warhammer board games, and Magic, World of Warcraft TCG, and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
everything revolving around games. And I had quite a big team under me, which were working with selling and tournament organizing and stuff like that, but offline things, the more traditional analog games. And this is kind of feeling really similar, but on a larger scale, of course, because we're not doing it locally, but globally.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also working a lot with Upper Deck Entertainment when it comes to tournament organizing, with Europe events. I was a judge for those, so I have experience when it comes to handling players. Also, when it comes to stuff like um, issues during matches and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something I did a lot, and all of those skills are being transferred to my new task. And also managing a team in esports feels almost the same as managing a music band, and that's also a thing I did a lot in the past. Like you have few guys doing the same thing, but
Mm-hmm.
they have really different personalities, and you have to make all of them happy. So
Yeah.
it's quite a task, and but I love it. It's something I really want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's that bit of, like marketing, and there's that bit of like pizzazz because you guys are like a team now. It's very similar to a band. It's interesting that you said you had so much experience working, with gamers. And I think
Hmm.
that a lot of in the past, and I'm sure if you've been into esports as long as you have, a lot of the conflicts comes with a coach not necessarily being a gamer, or even someone involved in the like managerial aspects not being a gamer, so he doesn't really understand that. I mean, how do you, I guess, use your understanding of just gamers in general? Like, what are some of the things that you do different, or what are some of the things that you've improved on?
I think being a gamer and being a manager at the same time is really important because when it comes to tournaments, I see, I'm talking with an organizer, an example. He tells me stuff about the tournament, and I exactly know what I have to uh, talk about, what I have to require from the organizer, which details I have to know to talk them with the players. And also will know beforehand what will be the questions from the players because I'm a player too. So I will
Mm-hmm.
exactly ask the same questions to the organizer. And this is something that a lot of managers that doesn't have the gamer skills and
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have the experience to attending tournaments, they will have to learn during that time. And I already know that. So that spurs a lot of time when it comes to in only this in sorry
No.
only in this example.
Uh,
And also I practicing with the team. When you look at like other esports, when the manager is only the manager, he doesn't have the I think he has to work to make the bond with the players, and I'm bonding with the players because I'm also playing with them. So I think it's win-win situation for both the organization and for the other players and for me too. So it's like win-win-win.
yeah, because now you basically have the opportunity to create the exact type of team that you want to be
Yeah,
on.
it's players for players.
Yeah,
That's
and
something we are looking for.
yeah, and I'm speaking of players. Usually a team has maybe like one, I guess, all star or one player that is very well known or very popular. But the four of you guys, ties are to you, and I'm life coach and yourself. It's a pretty packed team. I guess you have
Well,
a lot of
thank you.
confidence. You have a lot of confidence going forward, or what?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of expectation too. Like just because RDU and Tides already DreamHack champions. Life Coach is a really strong player, and well, you can see him being top on ladder every time. Apart from RDU, we're all qualified for BlizzCon, and we were trying ourselves in to win the World Championships, and we'll try it again. So, well, apart from RDU, because he wasn't allowed to play in the BlizzCon tournaments because of some region bullshit.
But like everyone knew that he was supposed to be there anyway, so
yeah, and this is also one of my tasks. I want to be sure that RDU will play in those World Championships in 2015, and this is something really important for me, and I want all of my players being able to play in the World Championships.
Yeah. Now, from my understanding, you have a background in the WoW trading card game. Used to play that. Now, I'll be honest, I know nothing about it.
It's very similar.
Yeah. Oh, really? It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess to shed me of my ignorance, how deep were you in that scene? Like were you? What was that all about?
Well, World of Warcraft TCG. Did you play Magic?
Yes. I played Magic for like 8 years.
Okay. So World of Warcraft was basically a better Magic for me. And one of the similarities that was between Magic, World of Warcraft, and Hearthstone was the upgrades in the mana system. Like in Magic, if the audience can not know this, but in Magic you don't have mana, which is added like in Hearthstone every single turn. You have to draw them as a card. It's a land, and you have to play that. Just increase your mana source. So you can have a mana flood when you're drawing too many lands, or mana screw when you're not drawing lands, and then you're screwed basically, like the name says. In Hearthstone, you have that additional one mana point every single turn guaranteed, and in World of Warcraft it was like that. You had lands, like in Magic, those were named quests, and those were also having a secondary option to resolve a quest. Then you have a reorg, like a draw card, or like buff a minion, search for a specific card from a deck, and stuff like that. So those really powerful effects.
Okay.
And also, if you didn't have a quest / land, then you can put any kind of a card in your hand as a land, just upside down. Face down.
Okay.
So every single card that you had in your hand, spell, minion, equipment, was also acting as a land if you didn't have a quest. So you didn't have also mana screw, because you have you had more options. And World of Warcraft TCG had the exact same battle system as Hearthstone. So every single minion was allowed to pick a minion to attack or hero. And the other difference, the only difference in that was that in World of Warcraft there were taunts, but the defending player could have chosen to defend or not.
Okay.
So it was not mandatory to attack the taunt. Yeah, but you could have chosen if I'm defending or not, and each taunt could have done that once a turn.
So now that Hearthstone is the huge success that it is, I'm assuming that the competitive scene for the WoW trading card game has gotten a lot smaller.
Well, the game was dead some time ago.
Yeah.
But it was really big for the first years. Like I was playing for the first 5 years, if I recall correctly.
Oh, okay.
I was the competitive scene was really awesome. Even in our country, Poland, we had Polish championships. We had Darkmoor Fairies in Europe. We had the overall ranking from the world, and I have to brag a little.
Yeah,
I
sure.
was ranked for 4 years in a row as the first ranked player in Poland.
No way.
I was top. Yeah, and I was top 10 of the whole world for 4 years.
This is
in a row.
This is how little I know about that game, because I was playing Magic at the time. I just got a lesson from one of the best WoW trading card players. That's really cool. I
I kind of missed the drafts from the World of Warcraft TCG in Hearthstone. That was my favorite format, and I was the strongest in drafts.
hmm
And I really missed that in Hearthstone. I think my skills would be especially shining in drafts formats.
yeah,
But we
yeah,
will not gonna see that in the future, I think, in
yeah.
Hearthstone.
I'm the same way. I was a limited player through and through in Magic, and arena's my favorite part of the game, but it's not very well supported for anything competitive. So it's just me by myself in the dark playing arenas, for like hours at a time. Anyways, just to move forward though, that was really informative. I had no idea any of that existed. How do the practice sessions look between you guys? Like, like.
We ex
Mhm.
it, well, it works like this. All the players are exchanging information about decks, about theory, every single day. We're talking like on Skype. We're messaging each other with our ideas, with something we came up on the ladder, like how the metagame looks,
Mhm.
and we're the practice then itself. It really depends on for what are we practicing. The for ladder about decks ideas and maybe try them on ladder, but when it comes to tournaments those have different rules most of the time. So
Mhm.
when you do a practice between the players when they are trying the setups for the tournaments, that's most important, because playing, for an example, 4 deck 1 ban tournament, you have a different strategy than for playing a ladder. It's really different. It
Mhm.
affects deck building, it affects well,
Yeah.
everything. Also, the band strategy can be different for every single player, and that also affects the class that can pick. So it's really a lot of stuff you can practice. And when you read like every time there's an announcement on Reddit, there's
Mhm.
a team forming. There's at least few dudes that are like asking, teams in Hearthstone?
What?
How that how that even work? What the fuck? Oh, and
Yeah.
those players are not really aware how much practice is really needed for card games. The same is in World of Warcraft. The same was in World of Warcraft. The
Mhm.
same is in Magic. You have teams, even if it's a solo tournament. You
Yeah.
just want to practice with equally skilled players and deck builders
Mhm.
to come up with new ideas, and just not go out of your usual routine. So it's really important to get a team, or at least have a circle of pro players, or
Yeah.
players from your skill ceiling that will help you grow as a player.
Yeah, because it's the meta game before the game actually starts. Like you can win the tournament based off your guys' deck selections, and having, I guess you're saying, having that team with the same schedule, same dedication. You don't have to just be on your own floating around. You can really figure it out. Now, speaking on that, you commented that you think 4 is really the magic number in terms of team size, and you're probably
I
not going
think
to go bigger. Yeah, can you just tell me more about that?
4 is really awesome. 5 will be really okay too, but bigger than 5 can be a headache for
Mm-hmm.
everything. Maybe when you can like split the players between NA, EU, or Asia, or whatever, maybe then it will work better. But if you have more than 5 players in one region, then it will be really hard to promote every player when I'm talking as a manager. It will be
Mm-hmm.
really hard to equally distribute the amount of attention that I want to bring to every single player. And uh, I think that's also important when you're becoming a part of the team. You want to benefit from the exposure, from the reach,
Mm-hmm.
from the sponsors, and the more players we are having, the smaller benefits are for each of us.
Yeah.
So I think 5 is the maximum you want to have. We want to start really as a well bond team, and not just few personalities thrown in one bucket, and something will maybe come up from that.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned getting the benefits from the sponsors, and yeah, you're right. If there was, like 6, 7 people, it's like, you're just going to stretch yourself thin. Speaking of sponsors, Kingwin, I mean, they're a big part of, why it's even possible that you guys formed a team. Can you just kind of elaborate on their involvement? I'm sure you have some shout outs to give.
No, yeah, for sure. Those guys are awesome. They put a lot of finances and
Mm-hmm.
also ideas and help, and are helping around the team, helping with websites, with also like social media stuffs, graphics and stuff like that, and that is really important for us because we can then focus on something that's most important for the players, so playing, and for me managing the players,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be really hard to get our team going without a sponsor, without travel support, accommodation, and stuff like that. As you know, that there are many tournaments for Hearthstone being that were played. There will be even more in 2015.
Yeah.
So without the support from an example, Kingwin, it will be really hard to pull off. We'll be looking for more sponsors, but for now, I'm really happy with Kingwin, and uh, well, thanks for everything. This is our dream, and they are making this possible for us.
Yeah.
So it's really awesome, and they are putting a lot of stuff apart from the team. They're like organizing tournaments. There was
Oh
a
yeah.
tournament for charity in December. There will be a second one in January. Still, it's being developed right now, and it will be as awesome as the first. So, but there will be better casters this time. So,
You know, yeah,
um,
I think I'm Kingwin, they're definitely on the right track. I think for those of us, and I'm sure we have a lot of listeners too, for those of us who have been following esports for a long time, back when it was just the thing that we loved and no one cared about it and it was very tiny, it's like we saw this coming a mile away. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think especially Hearthstone is just one of those games that have exploded in the past 2 years. Now is a very good time to become an esport if you're a video game. So I hope that there's more organizations like Kingwin, that can
I hope
see
so too.
see like the potential. Now, now moving on from that, you mentioned, that Kingwin makes it possible for you guys to achieve your dreams, which is great. And I think the most common question that I get asked to ask people like you is, hey, man, I want to become pro. I want to do this whole esports things, because that's my dream. That's someone's
Hmm.
dream listening here. And they always ask me, hey, like, how do they do it? What's their advice? What are your tips? How do I get started? And my advice is garbage. Why would they listen to me? But I'm sure you can give them something interesting to think about.
Well, when you look at Nihilum players, all of those players weren't really the part of Hearthstone when it was pushed as an esports, like
Mm,
Fight Night. That was the first tournament that established the stars, and
yeah.
all of those guys that were in Fight Night were also the first in Vice. Well, esports, when our games are really, really young, the esports scene is being built on personalities, and that was
Mm,
okay. And Fight Night was putting those first personalities um, in the movement, but that's not happening anymore. And players like Ardu, Thais, Life Coach, me, Xixo, well, Savish kind of too, but he was
yeah.
attending in Fight Night too. But those players and were just playing qualifiers. We're trying to attend as many tournaments as possible. We were putting also our private money into traveling for tournaments just to make our names out, to
Mm-hmm.
put our names out. And that's something you want to do. If you don't have the money to attend offline tournaments, you
Mm-hmm.
have to attend every single online tournament that you can. There's so many possibilities. Like right now, there was like 7 tournaments for ESL Legendary Series. You have Zotex, you have You had Gosu Cups. They are played for Asia right now, right? But
Yeah, shout
I
outs to
think they will
Gosugo.
be back. Yeah, they will be back for EU or NA or whatever. And the I think the most important tournaments that you can attend are the qualifiers for offline events or the online invitational ones. Like there's always some spots for the open qualifiers, and if you just get through the open qualifier to get into that spot, it's something that's the first step into the esports. Like
Hmm.
afterwards, you have to work even harder,
Yeah.
but you can try to make it work then. And an example, my first push was the IEM Katowice 2014. I won the qualifier for that. I was qualified for the offline
Hmm.
finals, and that was my first step
Yeah,
into esports.
that was it.
And that's how it's done. You can also play ladder. If you get to top 100 ladder like constantly, you will be noticed for sure after some time. If you can get into top 16, you will be noticed even faster. And right now, as we are speaking, there's some announcements made. I see that there's a Hearthstone World Championships 2014 being announced. I didn't really read it yet,
Yeah.
uh,
Wow. That
but
yeah, that's breaking news. I haven't heard of it.
yeah, it's just announced. I can link you from
Yeah,
the
sure.
informations what I just got. But I didn't read it, so I just see the thumbnails like
Hmm.
regional championships, regional qualifiers, point structure, five-star gatherings, residence
Yeah.
requirements. Oh fuck, that's bad.
No man,
Residency
qualifiers.
requirements.
That's what you need though. You need qualifiers.
Yeah,
And
so
I'm sure that last part gave you a headache.
yeah, the residency. That's something I will have to check. But there will be ton of opportunities, and if you want to make a big 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 up how do I say that? If you want to make your name big in Hearthstone, you
Hmm.
want to qualify for World Championships. That's for sure.
So step one, get good. Step
Yeah,
two,
just play a lot,
yeah,
win a
play.
lot.
Yeah, win a lot, play a lot. And you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad that you say that because, like most things in life, it's put in the hours. Put in the hours. I feel as if someone truly did play Hearthstone all the time and they studied it and they trained it and that they obviously had the skill level barrier in which they understood. Yeah, I feel like there's qualifier tournaments out there. That's really interesting.
To win something, you will have to work on your marketing and PR because that's how every business works.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same in normal sports. But first of all, you will have to be picked by some team or manager or headhunter or other
Yeah.
players that will be saying, "Oh, this dude is like winning qualifiers all over the world, or his top 16 ladder every single time." And if you work hard, you will be noticed.
Yeah, and hey, maybe
That's it.
you're gonna be the one to notice them. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Last question, just to close this up. If you could choose, what would you be doing in 5 years?
In five
Yeah,
years, I hope I'll be still playing Hearthstone.
still be playing Hearthstone. Yeah.
Yeah, it brings a lot of fun, and it's something I really love. I hope the Hearthstone will be developed in future years, in 5, 10, maybe 15. Who knows? Who knows how the game will be developed?
Oh.
Uh, we'll see many things when it comes to Hearthstone because it's a card game, so it's kind of evolving with each quarter of the year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the changes are really fast. But I would love to tie my future life in esports, whether it will be Hearthstone or tournament organization or um, even organization, whatever. I just love esports and I want to work in this kind of environment.
All right, man. You know what? I said that was my last question, but I just got a text from a fan, someone from you, and he asked, even though this isn't possible in an actual like arena run, would you rather pick Wisp or Target Dummy? You see either Wisp, Target Dummy, or Alarm Robot. If for some reason those were your 3 picks.
Dummy, for sure, dummy, just because of the taunt.
For sure, Dummy because of taunt. All right, guys, there you have it. I'm Target Dummy. I'm greater than Wisp. All right, hey, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's been real fun. I learned a lot. Learned a lot about the World of Warcraft card game, and I hope all of you guys listening learned. All you got to do is get good, play games. I'm qualifying tournaments. That's
Yeah.
big. All right, hey man, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll see you later.
And see you guys.
Yep.
See you.
Bye-bye. Alrighty. That was awesome, man. What a cool guy. I really liked all that he had to say. Especially, you know, the whole thing about qualifying and how that's the number one way to do it is to keep on playing, because that's what I say all the time. People are like, no, it's all about invites, you know, oh no, it's just the same players get like invited. And it says, yeah, I think maybe that's how it was at first, because he says something very interesting about, you know, the esport was grown based off of personalities, but I don't think we're at that stage anymore. I think we are at the stage where it's like, you know, now it's talent. Now it's like who's the best. Now it's who's the one's winning. Anyways, very interesting talk. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll have our next guest, DeerNadia. I'm sure, you know, people are going crazy. I'm sure she has a lot of fans. This should be really fun, so don't go away. We'll be back with her in about 2 or 3 minutes. Thanks. Hello, everybody. We are back. And our next guest, I'm sure you've seen her stream. I'm sure you've heard of her. It is DeerNadia. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you great. Let me just change this little title here. You are not Lothar.
No.
Okay.
That is muscly.
So, hello. Hi, my name is Nick. This is the first time we
Hi, Nick.
have met. Welcome,
Nice to meet you.
welcome to HearthCenter, the
Thank you.
coolest podcast around. I guess.
I like your Sylvanas pop toy.
Oh, you know, you're the first one. You're the first one to notice. You were the first one to notice. You have no idea how many of these stupid toys I have.
No, did you get it from BlizzCon?
Yes, I did.
My brother Kit Kats, he bought me one, and I paid for him for it, and then he like kept it, and I don't have it, so I'm super jealous.
Oh no, this was definitely mine. You know what? If you like the Sylvanas, have you seen my cup?
The Hearthstone cup?
Yeah. I love this
Nice.
thing. This is probably, yeah, I have all sorts of
And the Murgul?
Yeah, I have the Murgle. Okay, wow. You just know the who's who of my little collection. Yeah, it's funny. I actually had more on the other podcast episodes, but I had to move a desk, and hence is the trivium of my life. Anyways, moving forward, how did you first start with this whole Hearthstone thing? Let's just get the first things out of the way for those who maybe haven't heard your story.
Okay, well, over a year ago, like last January, when it was in closed beta, I got a key, and I started playing it by myself, and it was like actually the first video game that I was like obsessed with.
Yeah.
I don't have a history of playing World of Warcraft or StarCraft like a lot of people, or even Magic the trading card game. So I was just obsessed with that, played it all the time, and I was really sad because the extent of interaction in that game is just like, well met.
Yeah.
Thank you. Greetings. Like, that's it. It's not interactive at all, and I thought it really blocked the extension of like how fun the game can be, because it's fun when you play with your friends. I unfortunately don't have very many friends, so I'm gonna be honest.
Hey, man.
So I saw the whole Twitch thing and the whole streaming thing, and I thought it would be really awesome if I could stream Hearthstone and just like be interactive with people and build an audience and just like make it a community thing, because that's what I feel it should be. It makes it more fun.
Yeah, and you know, if those were your goals, it seems like you've definitely met them. I've heard a lot of, what is it? Illuminatia. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You definitely have quite the following. Now, besides the obvious, because for one, you know, for how fun games are and for how awesome esports are, they're dominated by men. You know, there's not a lot of girls that play these type of games, or even consider themselves, like esports players. So, what type of steps, I guess, do you go to, really foster that sense of, hey, I'm playing this game because it's really, really, really fun, and everyone who thinks otherwise, forget you.
Keeping Hearthstone fun,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, it's really difficult. Because it's stale. Even people who only play it for a few hours a day get frustrated. You see it all over Reddit. People only like to complain about the game.
Yeah.
So for me, who plays it for fun, like 6 hours every day, it's hard to keep it fresh, like you say.
Yeah.
But I think playing like interesting new decks, like having a stable deck, but putting a single tech card in it, like Onyxia. I did that at first, like a card that's usually bad, but if you can make it work, it's really fun, and you just get so excited when you can do this insane double Savage Roar combo and just kill them in one turn. Like just like finding little twerks to make it interesting is important. And keeping it like interactive, because you can't do it alone.
Yeah, you can't expect to just well met your opponents passive aggressively the whole time and expect to have a good time with it. You said, I guess, keeping it fresh, innovating, changing up your decks. You care to share, I guess, some of the most recent things you've been doing with that? Like, what are some of the things you've been changing up?
Something fun I've been doing streaming recently is I've been playing a lot of Warrior because I like to focus on you got to go for all the gold classes, right? So you just can't get a golden Druid or whatever and keep playing Druid. You have to like force yourself to play classes. So I've been playing a lot of Warrior, and everybody knows Warrior is resident sleeper.
Yeah.
Just really long games, often fatigue games. So a tech card I've been putting in it recently is Crush, which is a 7 mana cost destroy a minion, which looks really scary, like 7 mana to destroy a minion. But if you have a damaged minion, it costs 3. So you can do a lot of fun things like that if you crush your own Sylvanas, which you can do, but not like execute. You can crush your own Sylvanas and steal a minion, stuff like that. It can be really fun with like playing the crush interaction. So I've been focusing on that.
That kind of reminds me of those series that Crypt does when he just says, hey, like, how good is so-and-so? And he just tests a card that it's like no one even gives the time of day. But so what's your verdict? I mean, is it better than
It's been really helpful because there are so many instances where, say, you cannot damage a brawl or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you like there are a lot of bad instances, but it just fits right there.
Yeah.
And you can go, look, chat, see, it worked. It worked. And people are like,
everyone
oh my God,
doubted. Everyone doubted you the whole time.
That was amazing. I'm gonna play Crush too.
I have been trying to advocate Faux Reaper because it's a huge threat, and it's very, very fortunate to be immune to Big Game Hunter, which everyone's running right now.
Exactly, because of Dr.
Yeah,
Boom.
so it's like half the time you play a Faux Reaper, and it's like, oh, well, now they have to spend one of their actual removal spells. I don't know. So that's my little tech for all of my meager ladder attempts.
I haven't even seen that played, and I don't even have that card. But
we see, what the whole thing is, it started because I'm very much a free to play player. I think at this point it's out of stubbornness. Like
a minion to execute it, but you can easily damage your own minion, or you cannot big game a minion like a Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah.
What do you do? Like all of a sudden they just had a huge Kel'Thuzad turn, and oh no, I don't.
I think I would really enjoy to buy packs, but I'm just being stubborn about it. So I have to make all of random budget decks, and I got lucky enough to open up for a Reaper, so I'm like, I have to make this work.
Just force it in.
Yeah, I have to make this work, and I'm forcing it in all sorts of ramp decks, trying to make it work. Anyways, moving on from that, do you play Arena most, or is it Constructed?
I only play Constructed.
You don't even...
I only play Arena if I get like super on tilt, and I'm like, okay, if I keep playing, I'm just gonna lose all my stars. But I don't want to stop streaming either, so I'll play Arena.
Super on.
What can go wrong?
Super on tilt. Do you have an example? like what makes you go super on tilt?
For example, yesterday I conceded to a hunter who went Undertaker, coin Undertaker, and I say pass. Yeah. And he says web spinner, leper gnome, and I say concede, you outskilled me.
Yeah.
Like that, it just makes me so upset. Like I don't have an answer for that for the rest of the game. You win.
Yeah.
Like right there. Like that, it makes me feel like I can't, like I don't have a chance, and Like, or I just previously played a really long, well thought out game against a mage. It took 20 minutes. I won. It was so close. I feel like, wow, that took a lot of skill. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was really
It's a
fun. And
good
then I play
game.
this hunter game, and that just deleted the game before it. Like
Yeah.
I just lost that scar. And
Yeah.
arena time, guys.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's so tough because, you know, in terms of time spent, it's like the most efficient way to lose. Like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
you just lost everything. Oh man, that's
Exactly.
that's very interesting. So let's get to the big news, though. You know, the big news, the cool news. You've been recently picked up. Now, what team was that again? If you want to shout out.
Team Archon.
Yeah, Team Archon. And
Ahmad.
yeah, I'm sure you're pumped about that, as anyone would be. I just tell us your like first initial reactions. You know.
Well, I was like, well, it's been like a couple weeks of like talking about it, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure what my role would be in the team.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like, everything was pretty on the fence, so I didn't want to get myself too
Of
excited,
course.
like all in, like, oh my God, this is happening, and then get let down for whatever reason. But
Yeah.
it finally happened, and I am very, very, very excited. And it's certainly a lot of pressure, and I have a lot to live up to because I don't have a past history in the tournament scene
Mm-hmm.
as it is. I only have a future that I can work on.
Yeah.
So I kind of like have to prove myself at this point.
And you know, that's a pretty good way to look at it, because as much as I love to take Hearthstone seriously and like play esport, you know, do the whole like esport thing, is like there's a huge group of people who just love the game for like the type of fun stuff you do. You know, like there's a huge, probably, you know, much bigger, who want to see someone who doesn't have a background or doesn't have, you know, past tournament victories or so and so. They want to like root for him, you know? They want to say, you know, like you can do it. And I'm sure a lot of your fans are going to be out in droves, you know, in the
Right. I
future.
think it's something that people have been wanting me to see for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But something with Twitch in general, when you start as a streamer, it doesn't matter what game you play, Hearthstone, Counter-Strike,
Yeah.
anything. You have two avenues you can pick. You can either be competitive or you can be an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very, very hard to be both.
Yeah.
So I chose to be an entertainer, like from the start, and that's what I've been focusing on for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been streaming for like 8 or 9 months. So this is going to be like a whole new chapter for
Yeah.
me. So
And you know, it's really a win-win, because, you know, Archon gets one of the most recognizable names in terms of like Hearthstone streaming. Great. And then, you know, hey, again, like I'm saying, like this is another like avenue for you. This is more reasons for you to stream, or more reasons for you to stream about. You know, now you can have like practice session streamings. Who knows, you know? Now
mhm.
there's like some stakes to it.
Yeah, and having a team is something new to me too.
Yeah. I actually,
So just like other people to fall back on. And
were you were you watching the Lothar segment just before you?
yes.
Yeah, you know, that guy, I think it was very telling that the first thing he said out the gate, like literally, I'm like, "Hey, Lothar, how you doing? It's nice to meet you." First thing he says is, "Running an esports team is so much work." He's like, "It is so hard, and people don't understand how hard it is, and all the things you got to do." And I'm sympathize with him, you know.
Uh-huh.
And you, this being on your first team, are you starting to see some of that, maybe like red tape, or maybe that like organizational, like, whoa, I didn't realize it'd be this heavy.
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on all at once with like new sponsors, just everything is new.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot too. So and then the person I communicate with the most on the team is Backspace, who is the manager.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to hear a lot of his like his day of like a day in the life of being the team manager of Archon. So
Yeah, a day in the
it's
life
definitely
of Backspace.
a Backspace, yeah.
So
And they're all at the Archon house together. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
also really cool.
And that too. Have you do you plan on visiting one
Yes,
day?
I'm going to visit in a week actually, but only for one day just to see the house, and then we're all going to pack South together,
Wow, that sounds super fun.
except for Admirable, because he's a jerk.
You heard it here. You heard it here first, folks. Admirable's a jerk. Hey, I wish.
No, I love him.
I
He's
wish I
just
could
like,
say.
why would I go to that? Like,
Wait, what? Why would you go to PAX?
yeah,
PAX is
yeah, he didn't want to go. It was like a waste of his time.
PAX is the. You know, it's funny. I bet maybe it's not in Hearthstone, but I bet you don't, because you're a con goer, right? You go to a lot of cons.
Recently, since
Yeah.
I've been in Hearthstone, yes,
Yeah.
but I haven't been to a PAX
Oh,
before.
really? Well,
Yeah,
you were going to love it. I can't believe Admirable would ever say such things about PAX. I feel as if it's the most
it's
fun.
in his back door too. He
Yeah.
lives in Texas already.
PAX is going to be great. We actually had I guess now your teammate Sixo. We had him on last week.
And we're all going together.
Yeah.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, okay, well, this has become the PAX like shout out podcast. Anyway, so yeah. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, and man, that guy is very good at Hearthstone. And
Yes.
the way he talks about the game, and I remember I was asking him about, hey man, like how much work did it take to get like rank 1 on all the servers like simultaneously, and he was so casual about it. He was like, "Oh yeah, I just got bound to learn a lot." Have you like
Yeah,
already
I
been
hope so.
talking a lot with these pros? Like, how has that been
I've
going?
been talking to everybody on the team for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like before I was on Cloud9, I was friends with everybody on the team except for Sixo.
Mm-hmm.
I've only recently been acquainted with him.
Mm-hmm.
So that yeah, we're gonna be new
So
friends.
there should
Hee hee hee.
so there could be some training sessions in
Yeah,
order.
going to the zoo.
Yeah,
Zoo.
rank 1, and then I said, I might as well get rank 1 on the other ones, and and then I took 3 hours and got rank 1. A player that
Wow.
good, you're back.
Zoo.
You know, speaking of zoo, most players like to position themselves either on the aggro side or the control side. What type of decks do you favor? What type of decks do you see yourself playing?
I absolutely love aggro style decks. Like calculating 2-turn lethal is
Mm-hmm.
like what I love to do. I one of the decks I really liked was Backspace Rogue
Mm-hmm.
back before Sludge Belcher was a thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I loved aggro rogue. That was like my bread and butter. I love that. And then Hunter is a lot of fun to me. I'm not so much of a Z player. I know Z's not really an aggro deck, but
Mm-hmm.
Hunter's a lot of fun to me. But the problem with aggro is people call it cancer,
Yeah.
and they lose to it all day on the ladder. So why would they want to tune into your channel and watch you crush people with it
Yeah.
when they want to see like the control decks because of they think it's more thought out and it's more talent based.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm basically not allowed to stream aggro.
They,
That's basically what it is because like
they
and
riot,
if you
right?
do lose,
That's the
they
phrase.
say that's what you get for playing Hunter Naughty. That's what you get. You deserve to lose just because you're playing Hunter. Like people take it
Oh my
very
gosh.
personally,
Yeah.
right?
Wh-
It's like, okay, all right, I cannot play an entire hero because you told me not
Yeah.
to. This is how it is.
And you know, I mean, that sounds quite unpredictable when it comes to people's understanding of like the card games, you know. Whereas in reality, the control decks wouldn't exist without the aggro decks, and so on and so forth. And we can
Right.
we can get onto a big long debate about which is the true cancer, but it's not. There's not really any.
Right,
If you talk
right.
about card games, it's a yin and yang type thing. And you know,
Mhm.
now that you mentioned how you basically can't play aggro, this is something that I wanted to ask you about. The Twitch chat, the Twitch fans. Do you kind of view them as just one big mass? They've kind of like embodied into one personality, because it's so fast and there's so many. You know, there's no way that you can communicate to each one. So I'm asking you, what is your like physical like representation of your Twitch chat? Like, what is it? How do you deal with that mentally?
But what is Twitch chat to me?
Yeah,
I think you know the emote OPOP.
yeah,
That's
that's it, huh?
But I love Twitch chat so much. Like I could never just be like sub only Twitch
Mhm.
chat and just like exclude a lot of people
Yeah.
for whatever reason. But I it is like the best part of streaming to me
Yeah.
is Twitch chat. Like they're so awesome.
It's its own weird amorphous blob of like reactions and knee jerk, things
Yeah.
to say. It's very
And
interesting.
trolls.
Yeah, so many trolls.
And you have to counter troll and then they counter troll and it's awesome.
I think it's funny that that we still call it chat. There's no chatting going on.
That's true.
Yeah, but hey,
That's
man, that kind of reminds me. I used to be really big into like the fighting game scene, and this was this was before streaming was really a thing. It was really new, and I remember when I first started seeing like the amount of salt and the spam bots and all the captchas. It was fun. It was really fun. It was really interesting.
Yeah, my first exposure to Twitch chat was Crips chat.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I'm like, what's all this? Why is everybody spamming all the same faces together? Oh, why are they asking him about orange juice?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was my first like exposure to the cancer.
So I'm gonna go on a limb and say Crips probably is Crip one of your favorite streamers, right?
He was at first.
Yeah.
He was like my hero, but because I've become like actually friends with a lot of streamers, I guess I prefer that.
Yeah, of course. Your bias change once you learn the actual like personalities of them and whatnot.
Right. I've cosplayed him before.
Yeah, I saw that. You were.
You have.
But the thing is, I was going to bring it up. That was my next question. But then I'm like, oh, I guess Crip's not your favorite. I won't bring up the cosplay.
Oh well, he just had a negative reaction to my cosplay.
Really? It was hilarious.
But I was so excited.
Oh my god.
And I thought it was really cool.
Man, sorry, Crip. I love Crip. He's one of my favorite streamers, but you definitely misplayed that. When someone like cosplays you, that's because they're a fan,
I know. I'm thinking about doing an Amaz cosplay.
Oh, that'd be more of an impersonation. That'd be the hard thing. You'd have to get the impersonation down and all the mannerisms.
It's studying for hours, of course.
Studying for hours. Oh man. So I guess we've been chatting for a bit, and I think you're definitely at a phase of who knows what you're gonna do in the next year. Like who knows where this is going to take you. What would you like to be doing in the next 2 years, 5 years?
Definitely still streaming. Yes. I don't know, like, if Hearthstone, how far into the future Hearthstone has, though. Competitively or as, like, a popular game.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea because of, like, the whole printing new cards. I don't know what the plan is with that.
Yeah.
And keeping it fresh because it's such a new game,
Yeah.
It's not like somebody who's playing World of Warcraft who can say, definitely, yes, I'm definitely playing this in a couple of years, Right? So, yeah, but streaming is life. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if there was ever a risk, it would be the power creep. Because the only way they're going to make cards viable is if they get more powerful. And if they print more powerful cards, then all of the old cards would become obsolete. And then everyone will have to grind for all of the new legendaries, and it will be a cycle that people will eventually be fed up with. I mean, that's my doomsday scenario. I hope that doesn't come true, but that's
right. It's really it is. You make an excellent point. Like the more Hearthstone progresses, the more it is difficult for new players to start.
Oh yeah,
I just made a new account, an Archon Mochi account, like as an alternative to be funny, and I was just like, oh my god, I have to play all of Nax, and it costs this much, and I don't have any gold, and I don't have any. I can't even where are my cards? Like I can't even make a zoo deck right now. This is gonna take so much time.
And how hard it is to get the classic legendaries because they don't award arena packs anymore. So now you actually just have to buy. You actually have to buy them in hope. That's actually a very true problem. And I don't know if they're ever going to discount cards, but that seems like I don't know. But yeah, that's tough. Last thing, what is your favorite copy pasta? What is your favorite? Your favorite one, because I know Nadia, you see a lot of them. What's the best?
Well, the one that comes to mind is a funny one that people don't paste a lot, but it's something about Trump. DeerNadia is actually a doll kept inside of a dollhouse in Trump's basement. I think it's really funny.
That's the favorite.
Spam that or the vroom 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 one.
Okay.
Hey guys, motorbike guy here. I just want to say, vroom 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 vroom.
I hope that this exposure of your true needs and wants as a streamer, I hope that people take notice. I hope Trump's basement and vroom vroom for the rest of your stream days. Well, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, first of all, I just want to give all of our listeners some context of how cool Nadia's been even being on the show. This was a very, very last minute thing. We had some cancellations, and I was like, hey, Nadia, can you be online in like 50 minutes? So she was very, very flexible, and we're very, very thankful for having you on.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
It was fun. All right. Thank you so much. Hey, be sure to check out your stream. What's your stream link? You can just
Twitch.tv/DeerNadia.
Great. There you go, guys. Boom. As if you needed me to tell you that. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. That was cool. Man, I'm streaming. Entirely different phenomena than, old schoolers are used to. The copy pasta. What was it? The vroom vroom car. Sorry about that. Anyways, we're gonna have our next guest coming soon. We'll be back in like 2 minutes. Thank you so much for listening. Be back soon. All right, so we are back. Hello, hi everybody. We're back, and we are about to have our next guest. He's from our site called HearthStats.com, and there's a really awesome new Hearthstone league that he wants to tell you about. We have all sorts of information, and it actually goes pretty well with a previous guest who had a similar theme of how to get involved and how to compete for these things. So without further ado, our next guest is Jeff. Hello.
Hey there, Nick. How's it going?
Hi. How are you doing? Let me just change this title here. Thank you so much for your patience, by the way.
No problem. Yep.
So I guess before we get started, can you just tell us a little about yourself, and about Hearth Stats, and just how this whole thing started for you?
Sure, man. Hearth Stats honestly started off as a basement project of sorts, because you and I'm sure we both love the game, and I was really curious about exactly how well I'm doing the game, and Hearthstone itself doesn't tell you that in any way. So I started what anyone else do, which was basically an Excel sheet, right? And from there, I'm like, man, this is kind of stupid. I might as well make it into like a site where I can easily track things, right?
Yeah.
So after that happened, I put it on Reddit, and a lot of people seem to have loved it. So from there, things just started happening, and we are where we are now. Helps track or constructed arena and everything between.
Yeah, and so you said it started off as just an Excel sheet. I guess you have experience then in like web design and like making these type of things?
Actually, by trade, I'm a chemical engineer of sorts, but
no way.
Yeah, I found that profession to be really boring and slow, it's like for older people, so I just kind of took it up and learned by myself, and just kind of just went from there,
Yeah, so I guess, is this kind of on the side, or are you still doing the chemical engineering?
Well, there's right now, we're doing this full-time right now.
Okay,
so
cool.
I'm full-time on this. We got 3 people on our team. We have a co-op student, and we're really working hard to push out components of the site and the companion, and also this tournament's been a huge, a lot of work as well, right?
Yeah, and that's something that we really want to get in later. Again, for those of you just viewing us, go to hearthstats.net. This is the website where I'm talking about. So tell us a little bit about the motivation for creating a Hearthstone league. Why do you think this is something we need?
So coming from a gamer background, games, for example, StarCraft and Dota too, right? And they all have especially StarCraft, they have something called the GSL, Global StarCraft League, which is the defining thing, which tells how if a player really wants to see if they're good or not. If you win the GSL, you're a good player.
Yeah.
That's basically the idea of it, right?
There's no way you can win that if you're not simply the best.
Yeah. Basically. And Hearthstone right now, at its current state, there's a bunch of small tournaments everywhere, which is not a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's the main motive behind the Hearthstats League. We wanted to have an open qualifier that's literally open to anybody, as long as you click fast enough and register, right?
Yeah.
And it's a 3-tier system which allow you to, if you qualify, you get into the Challengers League, which is happening next week. And from there, if you get past that, you get into the Championship League. And if you get through the Championship League, it's like you really played a lot of matches and against all type of different opponents that I think definitely proves that you're one of the top players, for sure.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm piggybacking off of what our previous guest said. Lothar said this exact thing. You need to have qualifiers, and this is what you need to do if you want to become competitive. So again, I urge everyone to check this site out, hearthstats.net. There is a specific link that you gave me for that like tournament bracket, right?
Yeah, it's league.hearthstats.net. Right now, the qualifiers, the registration closed already. We'll start again in September. So on there right now, it's just about the Challengers League. Yeah.
Okay. So I have right here. This is here. I had to pull this up. This is the photo you sent me of basically the league format, and just so we can go over it, just in kind of like slow details, so everyone gets a good idea. So say you were just a random grinder, and this is the Grinders League. These are all of you players who want to be pro, but aren't yet. This is where you compete, and there's 36 groups of 8. That's over 288 players, right?
Yeah.
So the people...
that might get bigger, by the way.
Oh, awesome. So the people that place in this Grinders League, where do they go?
So after... what we did before was the top 2 from each of these brackets that they get put into, kind of... basically 36 people get taken and put into the Challengers League, which is happening next week, right?
Yeah. And
so,
yeah. So then from the Challengers League, this is, I think, the interesting part. So the players who lose in the Challengers League, they still have one more chance, correct?
Yes, past the first round of 40. Only from the round of 24, they have one extra chance, yeah.
Okay, and then they go in the Placement League, and then they can still face from there, and then finally on to the Champions League. That just sounds awesome, you know?
Yeah, it gives because a lot of times you may have like a bad day, you know, and you just really don't perform your best and you kind of lose, but we have that Placement League there to ensure that it's not a one-time thing, so you really, again, prove your skill that you are worthy of this league, so you can climb your way back up to the Championship League, basically.
So, your main other section of the site is stats. You know, you first started in this with the urge to learn about how good you are. What have you learned about players' decks and like the meta? Like, what are some of the lessons you've learned from looking at all of this data, looking at all of these stats?
There's a lot of things, but some huge, like, I guess the major thing, first of all, is don't look at the pro player streams that much in some way, you know. These pro players, they play at a very high level, and you know, if you're in legend and stuff, sure, you can watch the streams and copy how they play, but at lower ranks, say you're climbing from 15 all the way to rank 5 or so, you know, their decks may not be exactly what you need, and their playstyle might not be what you need to succeed, right? Get all that with some leeway there. So you need to look at your own deck and customize according to how the meta is at your rank. You know?
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Which is a tool that we're actually coming up with soon, which will to tell you what kind of meta it is at each specific rank. Because, you know, a handlock at Legendary and a handlock at rank 15 is not going to be the same thing, right? So if you want to counter that, you don't play the same deck to counter the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And one other huge thing is people are very, very biased about their own decks. Let's take Handlock, for example, again. You may play 10 games of Handlock and you're like, wow, I'm so good with this deck. And then you go play, say, like a Mech Mage, and you play maybe 5 games and you lose 2 of them. You're like, man, I'm horrible with this deck, right? But then you go back and you reflect. If you actually look at the stats that are recorded, you realize that you actually do much, much better with like the Mech Mage, right? Because from the stats point of view, it tells you specifically like you have a better win rate with this in this current meta, which may not be how you feel, but from a realistic point of view, that is how it is actually, right?
And that's one of the biggest things that stats can help with. They can help you get past the emotional impact of losing over and over again and thinking, oh, this deck's garbage and I'm garbage.
Yeah. Yes, similarly, it also gives you a confidence boost when you do play a deck that has a very high win rate. You go in thinking like, man, I'm gonna kick ass this deck because it has a 80% win rate, right?
Yeah.
So.
You know, that's something I've always kind of known, but I haven't quite heard someone explain it as well as you did. The whole concept of watching a pro stream and just net decking, just taking their deck and thinking that it's the deck that got them up to Legend is just a very poor mistake, right? And here, just a little loud here. Can I hear you?
Okay, are we good?
Oh yeah, you're good.
That's
yeah.
good. All right.
So, do you have any specific examples of some of the most popular pro decks that just do miserable in the hands of an average player, maybe on the low levels of ladder?
Well, one perfect example back in the days was the Miracle Rogue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that deck just got wrecked in anything under rank 10, I would say. Because decision making that deck is beyond your current turn, beyond your next turn, you know. You gotta plan so many turns ahead and also plan on your opponent's turns, right? So that deck didn't do well. Other decks such as Handlock was surprisingly okay. I thought that deck would be hard to play, but to most players it seemed pretty well. And again, Zoo was perfectly fine as well. But even going more specific, also with like specific cards, it also performed very differently at different ranks.
Really?
Yeah, we actually recently released a report for the GVG, for the past month or so that I showed to a lot of pro players like Reynad, Hype, Froldan. Everybody took a look at it.
That's really cool.
And yeah, if you can check it out, hearthstats.net/GVG.
Hey, yeah, guys, here. Let me put that up on the stream. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'll post it in the stream.
Continue.
So one big thing there is that there's a card, the Whirling Zap-O-Matic, right? That card for sure is not played in any kind of pro deck whatsoever. But from our stats and everything we got, it does have the highest win rate, right?
Really?
Yeah, that card has the highest win rate. That's because we're not looking at all legendary games. We're not looking at all tournament games. We're looking at the overall meta of the game, which majority of people is not at pro level, right? And this card is, if you think about it, it is a pretty strong card, right?
Yeah.
But in constructed tournament play, it doesn't really fit anywhere. But when everybody doesn't have all those perfect kind of decks and people don't play as well, this card is a very good card to pull out, and it really gets a lot of damage in surprising times and such. So
yeah, so it punishes a deck that's not optimal, that doesn't have the perfect curve, that doesn't have the perfect early game, which a lot of players rank 10 and below they don't have.
Exactly.
Wow, that's really and man, so a card that everyone overlooked is actually quite good. And you mentioned earlier with Miracle Rogue, the fact that it's probably not the deck, but it's the player. I think that's a very important lesson for players to realize that there's a reason that the best players in the world are playing this deck. It's a very hard deck, and they're trying to make leverage of their skill as much as possible. So they want to play decks that are the best when optimized. And if you don't have that, if you're just playing on a tablet in your bedroom, just hanging out, maybe you shouldn't pick Miracle Rogue.
Exactly. Like not just Miracle Rogue, like Nadia said, like a lot of aggro decks need a lot of planning as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, one other really interesting thing that you can see on HearthStats is the change in arena win rate actually went up by 2%.
Wow. I mean, that makes sense.
That is a lot. Yeah. And the Hunter win rate went down by 4.7%. Even more.
Okay, so what do you account for that? I mean, I guess more powerful early game minions over the board with GVG, like.
there's a lot of things. A lot of things might not affect Hunter directly, but it's just other classes got better, right?
So you pick Hunter less, stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, people that pick Hunter might not know how to play as well, and there's a lot of reasons that going for win rates of different classes for constructed and arena. If you do look at the class win rates for GVG, once GVG came out, the power to it, but no, Mage is never gonna come from first place in arena win rates.
That was my next question. That was my next question. I was like, is there any way that Paladin might win versus Mage in arena? And it's probably because of Flame Strike, right? It's because of Flame Strike and other powerful AoEs. Yeah,
well, actually, before GVG, Rogue had higher win rate and Mage.
Really?
It was played less, but it had I think 1% higher win rate. And all of pro players agreed that Rogue was a very, very strong arena class, you know.
Wow.
But again, casual players may not play well enough, but the people that do play quite well.
Yeah, and of course there's the drafting component. You know,
exactly.
It's probably harder to evaluate rogue cards. You know, like an arena card that's really good at times is Manubar Ambush. That's a card that is very powerful in arena, but it forces you to make smart plays, and it forces you to play around your own cards effectively. And like, yeah, again, your average player may be better off drafting fireballs, in which you really can't go wrong than drafting ambushers. So you, as a Hearthstone player, because you've obviously got the stats section down, and I think that's really interesting. I've only heard of your site like briefly, but after this, you know, I'm definitely gonna put it on my favorites, especially the GVG report. That sounds really cool. What type of decks do you like to play? Like, what type of decks do you think are the best?
You can't quote me on any of this, right? Because you just had Lothar and Nadia on, and you can't get me to talk about what's the best deck. But I come from a Magic Gathering background.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, the few formats I played before, have you heard of Splitter Twins?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So that was kind of my bread and butter. That deck I took very far in my local tournaments, and so I really like control decks, and Miracle Rogue was my favorite, basically, because again, that took a lot of planning and stuff, and I really liked it.
Yeah, the stats guy likes Miracle Rogue. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. But you know, right now I think Handlock was always the deck that if I actually wanted to win, I play Handlock. Right?
Handlock, yeah.
And it's always been strong. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
No,
so,
Handlock.
What type of plans do you have for Hearth stats in the future?
I'm thinking about what I can talk about. Just
oh yeah, of course. You don't have to spoil anything.
Yeah. Yesterday we had a huge talk with another company, which is basically working on something together, and it's going to be actually huge to the Hearthstone scene, to everybody. Because the other company we're working with is ginormous, basically, and it's because we bring a really different look into gaming, because we approach it from a data-driven point of view, so they really like that. That's why they chose to come with us.
Yeah.
With regards to Hearth stats itself, oh man, we recently implemented a replay system. You may have not heard of. So
no, I haven't. That's really cool.
Yeah, if you have premium, what happens is the games you play, every single is uploaded into our site, and also it gets uploaded with the video replay of your match.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, so what this allows you to do is to share it with friends, and then people can comment out your different moves, different actions, and we're going to build that out even more to basically turn-by-turn analysis of the players.
Oh, yeah.
So essentially, we could do a lot of really insane stats about, say, turn 1 you play, if you play Leper Gnome, chances are turn 2 you're going to play these cards, or your opponents will play these cards. So, it really helps players that are starting off to understand percentages, chances of things happening, and things you might not expect from certain decks, basically.
Yeah, and Hearthstone's the type of game where the best player in the world, his win percentage is just a little just maybe 5 or 6 percentages above the second best player, and that's how you get those extra percents when you're able to take into consideration all this stuff.
Be amazing to players.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
very cool.
you
Yeah. Well, just right before Firebat won the World Championships, I've been talking to him like extensively, and the way he trains is he literally he has dozens of Excel sheets, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, he uses those to evaluate what kind of tech cards are really worth it to put into decks. And we've been working together really hard to kind of figure out how we can implement that to our system, converting kind of his Excel sheets, like his secret sheets that he hasn't shared with anybody with yet.
Yeah, because that stuff's golden. Yeah, that stuff's golden knowledge.
Yeah, so and putting into the system, which was going.
You know, it's so funny. I interviewed him at the BlizzCon like pre-tournament. There was one at the ESL Studios, and then this was before he won and all that. And yeah, he mentioned those spreadsheets, and he mentioned how he likes to put it down to the science.
Not being sponsoring any other tournaments right now because they've been trying to be very exclusive, right? Because card games are you have the ability to do that with card games, right? Because it's turn by turn, and that's really cool.
So I guess just to wrap it up, I really want to stress that our viewers should check out these future leagues, because if you're listening this far into the podcast, I'm sure you would want a chance to compete. Do you have any shout outs or any last things you want to tell us about?
As far as shout outs, big shout out to Frodan. That guy is hardest working guy I know for esports. Like
he does, yeah.
I don't understand him, but he just goes hard, and it's definitely someone we want to work with in the future, no matter what it costs, honestly. So big shout out to Frodan because he helped us a lot through everything.
Really?
And yeah, a lot of things in Hearthstone, especially our league. He worked with us a lot to get all the players and everything.
Yeah, I saw that Faramir's in the league, right? In the current bracket?
Yep. He's in the open league against I think Impact is in his bracket, and also
that's cool.
Strong player just put in. Airy. You guys probably heard of these are the people like Airy, this guy. It just came from the open bracket, and then we add him on Hearthstone, and he's rank 1 legend.
Really? That's so funny.
Yeah. It's just people we don't know about, and they're just amazing players, So
I can't. Yeah, I think that if this league catches on the way I think it is, I think it's definitely going to be one of the starting portals for new players like that. Well, the thing is, not even new players, but the players that have already been rank 1 and they're already there. They just haven't gotten that shot yet.
For sure. Like for the open league, our open league life coach, Hyped, like a lot of other famous players like D2, they all came from the open. Awesome. That's what we were waiting for, I guess.
Yeah. I've definitely enjoyed you being on the show. I'm personally not the stats guy.
Right, because they qualify and they have to do that anyway. So.
Yeah, man. All right. Hey, cool, man. This has been really informative. The site and learn, what cards I should be using. Well, anyways, again, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
No problem, man. All right. See you guys. Good night, everybody, depending on where you are.
Yeah, good night. For me, it's like good afternoon, but yeah, good night.
All right.
Good night, good morning, all that stuff.
Everything.
Yeah.
Right.
See ya. All right. That was cool. I mean, stats. I'm not a stats guy, but that was really interesting. I don't know much about, how to get those little tiny percentage victories and how to somehow figure that stuff out, but I'm glad that someone does. Definitely check that site out, hearthstats.net. With that said, that has been our podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. It's been fun. We had a lot of cool guests. I play with my gut, which is the wrong way to play, but this is definitely gotten